In order to attempt to unravel this mystery, we have to go all the way back to the days of feudalism. You had medieval kings dishing out lands and titles like party favors to their loyal buddies, creating a privileged class that's still the basis of the British aristocracy today. For centuries, this elite few held this tiny island nation in a chokehold, living in opulence while the rest of society toiled away. But then something revolutionary happened: the Black Death. Yes, that's right. The Great Plague of the 14th century. It didn't just decimate the population, it completely upended the social order. With the labor force severely depleted, the surviving workers found themselves in high demand. The nobility, used to getting their way without lifting a finger, were forced to adapt. They had no choice but to improve wages and conditions to attract workers, giving rise to greater social mobility and the emergence of the merchant class. Now, the merchant class, despite amassing incredible wealth, sometimes even surpassing that of the aristocracy, still couldn't buy the one thing they truly wanted: acceptance. To the nobility, work was looked down upon. Servants worked, farmers worked, but the nobles, never. Their disdain for labor was so ingrained that even as the merchant class grew in influence, they were still regarded as inferior. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries, and we see another seismic shift. Factories sprung up, cities expanded, and the middle class started to gain power. Yet, despite their economic clout, they were still met with a sneer by the upper echelons of society. The aristocracy clung to their titles and traditions, looking down their noses at the new money of the industrialists. Even today, traces of this hierarchical snobbery lingers. The British class system, while less rigid than before, still harbors disdain for those who work for their wealth, no matter how prosperous they become. And so enter the Middletons. Now, we know Kate was not born into a noble family, and Carol was acutely aware of this. However, what she lacked in pedigree, she could at least make up for in wealth. Now, William liked Kate. She was beautiful and alluring, but she simply belonged to the wrong class. And even before she married William, Camilla reminded her every day that she was not welcome. And it surprises me that people are shocked about this revelation. They seem to think that it was all easy for Kate, that she was treated well. Well, actually, what you see in the press doesn't always reflect the true reality. Kate was not treated as well as you may think. Camilla thought that she was not good enough for the royal family. She thought her parents were trash. And Camilla has always believed she is above everyone. She has always leveraged her position as Charles's mistress to wield her power and influence over other members of the family and the press. And when she became official, she saw an opportunity to settle old scores. Here she is at the D-Day memorial the other day, refusing to hold the hand of the French First Lady, Brigitte Macron. And Camilla wasn't the only one who disapproved of the Middletons. I came across this old article the other day that reveals that William's friends did not approve of Kate, mocking her at parties, again because of her class. And the press also participated in the class bullying. And Charles wasn't too happy with the Middletons either. There are numerous reports about Charles being jealous of the time his grandchildren were spending with the Middletons. In the beginning of their courtship, William was very close to the Middletons. The Middletons gave him a glimpse of how a normal middle-class family lived. And this was something he had never experienced before and that he craved. A normal, loving family. But then after their marriage, Carol began inserting herself a great deal into the family, and apparently Michael, her husband, was not at all pleased. There are reports that there were even divorce rumors between Carol and Michael. According to this article in the French press, Michael thought that the new status of mother to the future queen was getting to his wife's head. And of course, William became increasingly irritated by his mother-in-law's constant intrusions. So when the story broke about the collapse of Party Pieces, Kate's last line of defense also collapsed. Camilla got her "I told you so" moment. I told you so. I told you she wasn't good enough for this family. I told you her parents were just common merchants who should enter through the servants' entrance. And I believe that this is the moment that William began to abandon any remaining affection he had for Kate and started navigating his allegiance towards Camilla. He started getting real chummy with his stepmother, the same stepmother that tormented his own mother, driving her into the depths of depression, which manifested into eating disorders and even the brink of suicide, the causes of which he later dismissed as paranoia. So when the dam broke on Party Pieces, he no longer trusted the Middletons. He saw them as an embarrassment. He saw Kate as an embarrassment. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Camilla had a hand in pushing Rose into their orbit in order to disrupt their marriage. And so when it was announced so sensationally last year that Party Pieces had collapsed, that's when I think the plan was put in place to rid themselves of those pesky, low-born Middletons once and for all. And now they had William on board. Because, folks, it was around this time that William began humiliating Kate publicly. Notice I said publicly because there are numerous reports in the press over the years that he had been treating her badly for some time. Now, I don't know if he was ever physically violent with her. There are reports in the press about them throwing things at each other, but we do know that he is capable of physical violence. His bad temper was by now well known, and I think that at some point later in the year, after the Party Pieces fallout, Kate caught on that she was in danger. And I think she tried to reach out to people for help. And I think some of those people later paid with their lives. And I know it may seem that it can't get much darker than this, folks, but I need for you to consider the unimaginable possibility that the spares may also have been dispatched, and that only George may have been spared, for lack of a better word, and that ironically, he may find out that he is himself actually a spare. And that's when his life will truly be in danger. Because we already know that they don't think too much of spares in this family. They are entirely dependent on the heir for financial support, and their lives are considered valuable only in so much as it serves the heir. The spares are only there to provide spare parts, as Harry blithely mentioned in his book, because I cannot fathom any reason why we have seen neither hide nor hair of Charlotte and Louis. And every time we've seen George, he looks like he's been to hell and back. This child has the weight of loss on him, and it shows. And folks, here's the kicker. William can't remarry unless he is formally divorced. And if Kate is declared, well, then George's position as the heir hangs in the balance. Because if he is no longer useful to them, or if Camilla's hatred for his mother extends to him, then God help this child. Why would you want anyone to have this kind of power? Would you allow this to happen to your own children? Kate was of the people. She was a middle-class girl, the quintessential English rose, as they like to say. And look what happened to her. Look what happened to Diana. And folks, any society that fails to protect its children is a failed society. So I don't know how long it's going to take before it's no longer considered impolite to ask how this woman is doing. I mean, seriously, folks, all I keep hearing is that she should take as much time as she wants. Okay, for how long? How long should we wait? Should we wait 1 year? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? How long will it take before you finally decide that she's been allowed enough, quote unquote, privacy, and for you to finally realize that she's not coming back? And I've got a sinking feeling that the Spears aren't coming back either. And her mom and dad are also MIA. And folks, speaking of Michael Middleton, Kate's dad, someone left a comment the other day that literally sent chills up my spine. And folks, brace yourselves, because this is where I have to make the disclaimer about entertainment purposes only. Because folks, this shit's about to get real.